favorites years ago was the Da Vinci Code. Remember the Da Vinci Code with Dan Brown? And he opened up a whole new avenue of literature and awakening what spirituality is and what we've been taught. And I've read almost every book he's written since then. The most recent one I read, and I don't think he's written one since then, but maybe he has, Origins. I don't know how many of you have read Origins. But it was a fun book because it's about facing the issues that we're all facing right now around technology and artificial intelligence. What a fun subject. We could sit here and talk about this all day. Remember Hal from Space Odyssey 2000? Well, Dan Brown's was called Winston, and he was a virtual reality human. And throughout the book, you just love this guy. But you're not quite sure you can trust him because he's not real, but you love this guy. And it takes place 50 years into the future, although I think it could happen sooner than that, in a kingdom called Technium. And it's very similar to what's going on today. That's why I had so much fun with it. Dan Brown writes, "We've become a hybrid species, a fusion of biology and technology. The same tools today that live outside our bodies, smartphones, hearing aids, reading glasses, most pharmaceuticals, in 50 years will be incorporated into our bodies to such an extent that he claims we'll no longer be able to consider ourselves Homo sapiens." Isn't that something? And it's already happening. I mean, everybody walks around with a cell phone in their hand like it's part of them, and I imagine eventually we'll be wearing rings or it'll be implanted in us and we'll be able to phone home just by touching our hand. It's everywhere. Medical implants. You have a bionic minister. I don't know if you're aware of that. I have 2 heart valves, I have a pacemaker, and now I have a Watchman implant. You can look that one up. I am bionic. It's no longer sci-fi, but can you trust me? And cars, you know, we used to be a 2-car family. And of course it's extra expense when you have 2 cars, insurance and upkeep and all that. So we decided to go to 1 car, and we decided we wanted a hybrid for better gas mileage. So we bought this Toyota, and it's not a car, it's a computer on wheels. They should never sell a computer on wheels to senior citizens. It took us 15 minutes to figure out how to open the darn door. We got his open, and we couldn't figure out how to get the others open, you know. And then when you get inside, well, don't even ask me how to start the car yet. I've got to read a manual and take a class to figure out this computer. Artificial intelligence is here now. How many of you have an Echo device or an Alexa device? Aren't they fun? Every morning we get up, Alexa, what day is it? What's the temperature? What is the news this morning? Tell us a joke, Alexa. Michael loves to give her the business, and I love to say it's not my fault, she did it. And artificial intelligence, it's here to stay. And some people call it good, some people say it's bad. I don't think it's either one, if it's used cautiously. If life is consciousness, will artificial life eventually have a conscience? I mean, we all know people who are conscious, but don't have a conscience. There is a difference. And this book, Origins, dealt with so many issues. The age-old fight between science and religion. Why does there have to be an argument between science and religion when they're both 2 parts of the whole? In the story, Robert Langdon, who was also in Da Vinci Code, said religion and science are not competitors. They're 2 different languages trying to describe the same story. I like that, don't you? And the book also talks about atheists versus Christians or spiritual people. Which reminded me of an old joke on the internet. How many atheists does it take to change a light bulb? 2. One to actually change the light bulb, and the other one to videotape the job so the fundamentalists don't claim that God did it. All right, so. There was an atheist atheist prayer in the book, believe it or not, an atheist prayer. It sounds like a Christian prayer. May our philosophies keep pace with our technologies. May our compassion keep pace with our powers. And may love, not fear, be the engine of change. Wow, that's kind of pretty, isn't it? I like that prayer. And so Dan Brown goes on to ask, where did we come from? Where are we going? Where's God in all this? Who is God and who are we? All this from a secular book. It was amazing. And then he finally asks, has religion led us astray, and will science bring us back? Because he explains that science and religion have two different mission statements. For most religions, the mission statement is to proclaim the truth and authority of the Bible and to affirm its reliability, in particular its Genesis history. Now, when you know that Jesus taught, know the truth and the truth will set you free, that's pretty hard to do with some of the traditional stories and myths and symbols that keep us in bondage and stop us from finding the truth that frees us. Religions separate us by saying, if you want to be one of us, you have to believe this, you have to follow these rules. If you want to be one of us, this is the narrow road you have to walk. Where spirituality unites us. Spirituality says we are one. There's only one presence, one power. And the mission statement of spirituality might be, know thyself. Be still and know that I am God. The Father and I are one. Know your union with God and with each other. So in unity, we know that science and spirituality are not in conflict. Unity was founded on the science of metaphysics and the mysticism of spirituality. What a wonderful combination. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were so ahead of their time. We seem to call Charles the more scientific, metaphysical mind, although they both had that. But he was from Missouri. He was a skeptic. Show me, prove it. They both searched for truth but wanted to prove it. Not just say it was true, but does this hold water? And then there was Myrtle, who had this loving mystical faith. Prayer works, period. Prayer works. And together they created the unity movement that we've all been a part of for so long. And I love to compare, it's one of my favorite things to do, the metaphysical science with the mystical spirituality and how they can go together. Not be enemies, but work together. The metaphysical science says God has principles, scientific principle, the law of cause and effect. Learn how to work these principles and use them. The power of your thought and mind. Learn all these natural laws and put them to use in your life. And then you pair that with the mystical spirituality. God is love. And my relationship with that one presence, one power. Extend that love. Use the power of love. Be the power of love. Know yourself as love and your relationship with it. What a beautiful pairing. And Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were seekers of truth. And humankind is still seeking, will always be seeking for something more, something deeper. One of the questions Dan Brown asked in the book is, what truly happened, the Big Bang Theory, or the creation story? Which one? Well, to understand that, you have to understand how that Big Bang might have happened. And he talks about how energy, everything is energy, and that energy builds up. And when that energy builds up, it's like a tea kettle, it's got to go somewhere, which is probably why we have tornadoes and hurricanes and volcanoes. That energy builds up and then has to go somewhere. And so the Big Bang, he called it when the entire cosmos spread energy. Energy spreads, and it continues to spread eternally. Dan Brown explained it this way: as it turns out, life is an exceptionally effective tool for dissipating energy. The entire operating system of the cosmos could be summed up by a single overriding command: spread energy. So how do we make that practical in our life? Well, there's no greater energy than the energy of love. Nothing more powerful than the energy of love. And so the creative process is keep extending love. And if you have an idea, give love to the idea and watch it grow, watch it show up. That's all we have to do, is to constantly spreading love, being love, expressing love. Now, love creates and fear destroys. So we have to keep fear out of it. Don't bring fear into this building. Fear has to go out, because love extends and fear destroys. To create a better world, all we have to do is keep spreading that. And so the book ends on hope. He said, I urge you to place your faith in the human capacity for creativity and love, because those two forces, when combined, possess the power to illumine any darkness. There will always be scientists. There will always be religions. There will always be spiritual people. There will always be skeptics. In fact, there's an age-old story that goes all the way back. Have you heard the one about the priest, the rabbi, and the skeptical atheist? Okay, what's a good one? They were both, all three, were about to be beheaded on the guillotine. Must have took place in France. The rabbi went first. They propped him up there and they asked him, well, any last words? And the rabbi says, I believe in the one and only true God, and he shall save me. Well, the executioner positioned the rabbi right below the blade, and he set the block above his neck, and he pulled the cord, and the blade plunged down, but then it stopped just a few inches from the rabbi's neck. And the rabbi yelled out, I told you so. And the crowd yelled, it's a miracle. And the executioner said, let the rabbi go. So now it's priest is the next in line. And they get him in position. They say, any final words? He said, I believe in Jesus Christ, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, who will rescue me in my hour of need. The executioner positioned the blade, pulled the cord, and again came down and stopped just as it was about to reach his neck. And the crowds yelled, another miracle. And the executioner said, well, let the priest go. Finally, the skeptical atheist stepped up. It was his turn. And they said the same thing to him. What final words had you to say? But he wasn't really listening. He was looking up and staring at the guillotine, and he seemed kind of lost in it. And not until the executioner poked him in the ribs and the question was asked again, did he reply, oh, I see your problem, the skeptic said, pointing. You've got a blockage in the gear assembly right there. You'll get the irony of this about 3 in the morning. Okay? Whether you're scientifically minded, religiously minded, spiritually minded, or whether you're a skeptic, life is consciousness. And all we have to do is keep extending love. Giving love to every idea, giving love to everything out there, and watching it spread. And right now, we can give love to Katie and Michael as they come up. And while they're coming up, we'll do a little prayer. Let's just call forth the Christ faculty of love in us, expands through our humanness, expands through our physicality, and we send it out to the world, touching every heart and every mind with the awakening presence of Spirit. Thank you, Father.